Do you wish somebody wrote down the recipe for your parenting challenges? Did you want tips and tricks to become a better mama for you and your babies? I know I do. If you're a mother who feels that you are doing the best you can with the hands you've been dealt, but you're still getting it done, then this podcast is for you. I'm so glad you tuned in to Nailed It Motherhood, because we might have the recipe that nobody wrote down. Welcome back to another episode of Nailed It Motherhood podcast. I am your host with the most, Tamara Eldridge. Today, our guest and I have a very special connection because we spent many laughs and strategizing in the youth ministry. Shout out to the youth team that worked tirelessly to make sure our teens had a haven, because we had a lot of fun, but we spent a lot of time together, right?
We did.
This man, yes, we did. This man is one who truly tries to merge the reality of the culture with his ministry, and you can find him doing that on his own podcast, The Culture Gang Podcast. You can go ahead and shout him out if you want.
Gang is in the building.
I knew that was going to be it. Allow me to introduce you, mamas, papas, and the village, to my friend, Steffon Coles. Welcome to the show, bro.
Yes. I'm so excited to be here, man. Thank you so much for considering me. You know, it's been a while since we linked up, but I'm very happy to be here. Very happy to see what you've been doing, man. I've caught a few episodes, man, and I'm so glad that you're bringing this perspective. Spotlighting mothers and now fathers, and it's been dope to watch. It's been dope to watch, and I'm excited to contribute.
Thank you kindly. First of all, I have a couple thanks for your greeting. Thank you for watching the show, because that's exciting that you did catch a little bit, so you really know what you're about to get into. I'm super excited to hear your story, but we're not going to touch that just yet. I also want to thank you because, you are the second father on this show. So kudos to you. We did our first dad back in June around Father's Day. And, I took my sabbatical, and now here we are. And I'm excited because whenever you said you wanted to do the show, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun one. Yeah. It might be problematic. We might laugh a little too much, but that's good. Laughter is good for the soul. It's medicine.
Yes.
And I'm just excited to hear your story. And we're going to jump right in. I'm going to read your bio, and then we get to hear a little bit about you after Tavi Tales. So let me go ahead and read your bio. Steffon Coles was born and raised in the Strawberry Mansion area of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, educated through the Philadelphia Public School System and Anthem Institute. Steffon is the pastor and co-founder of Relationship Matters Ministries. Whoop, whoop. And we did hear from his wife last season, so I'm excited about this aspect of the family dynamic.
Yes.
He is a DJ, co-host for the Culture Gang podcast show, and owner of the Eternal Drip conglomerate faithwear clothing brand. Check him out. His love for music has always been a passion. And in 2017, DJ ColesPlay came to fruition by way of 100.3 FM. We have Gospel, Atlantic City, New Jersey, as co-host and DJ of the Remnant Hip Hop radio show. Yes.
Yeah.
As a pastor, one of the many things that drives his love for ministry is helping people understand God and his word through simplicity and relationship. That's what's up. God is as simple as he is deep. Yes. Let me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steffon believes in the power of consistency and relatability, and it is shown through his 19-year marriage to his wife, Lardina. They have 6 children and a granddaughter. Woo-hoo. The most important thing to Steffon is to keep the main thing the main thing. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, definitely.
That was Mr. Steffon Coles' bio. And I do want all my listeners to know that Steffon Coles, he gifted me with the name Madam Pop.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. He's laughing fiercely. So this gift was the name. Steph, why don't you tell the listeners what that name meant?
It means Madam POP is Madam President of Personality. President of Personality.
Personality.
Yeah.
Because, I'm the host with the most.
Of course. And
I have to say, that name kind of stuck in my life. And so much so that I can proudly say that I passed the torch on to my daughter.
That's right.
Which brings us to our Tavi tale today. She has all the personality now. And, it's amazing when you watch them from a baby to, just developing into whatever they're supposed to be, whatever age they are. And she, oh my goodness, she thinks for herself now. Not that she never did, but more and more she thinks for herself, and she hears people say things and she collects it. And then weeks later, she'll say something and be like, well, that's not what this means or whatever. So she has been calling me babe a lot lately. And I'm like, Tavia. And she says, yes, you are. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, well, Mr. D calls you babe. And I'm like, that's because I'm dating Mr. D. And he's like, she was like, well, where do you go? And I just looked at her and she continued and she said, you're not dating Mr. D because you guys don't go on dates. All y'all do is sit in the house and hang out. So ... That was the conversation. And she won that conversation because we don't go out a lot because we don't often have babysitters to go out a lot. So we do a lot of family hanging time.
Yeah.
So she calls me babe and I'm not dating. I'm just with him.
Wow.
So thank you for allowing me to share my Tavi tale. I'm glad that you get a little taste of your homegirl, baby Madam Pop.
Wow. Can't wait to meet her. Cannot wait to meet her.
You guys will have a lot of fun. I promise. Yeah. I promise.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
You spoke it into fruition that, I'm the president of personality. So what better way to share my legacy than to have the vice president of personality? So
legacy is meant to be passed down. So that's good.
It has to be. And I have to give credit where credit is due with that, but also because I have to give credit where credit was due as far as stepping up. We're going to jump into your personal parenting journey. But before we do, I just want to say that it really, truly takes a genuine man to love not only a woman, but also their kids. And the thing that you and Dee have in common is that, you both saw a fantastic woman, might I add.
Yes,
Lardina. Yes, you are fantastic. You both saw these phenomenal women, but they had an additional package. And I've always heard that it's a package deal.
Yeah.
If you want to be with the mom, then you need to be loving and in love with her kids as well.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's just the way it was for me when I met Mr. D, as we call him. So my question for you, can you share for us what it was like walking into loving this wonderful woman that had 4 amazing personalities that she was already raising? What was your personal journey like stepping up? And I'm going to give you the floor to share and just, geek about her and your relationship and your relationship with your children.
All right. So, man, it was all right. So, when you're walking into a situation like that, it's sort of a detractor because she already has a bad stigma because she's already had, it's usually like, okay, I could deal with 1 or 2, but man, she got a 4-piece, and like she got this whole situation going on, and it's just a bit of a detractor because it's like, I can handle 1 or 2, but 3 or 4, I don't know about all that. But it was definitely God led, because we met in church, right? We met in church, and I didn't know anything about her. I didn't even know that they were all her kids until we sat down and talked one day. I mean, we had a conversation, and it wasn't love at first sight for me, but it was like, man, she's interesting. It helped that she looked good, because sometimes when people have multiple kids, they kind of lose a little bit, but she was already well kept, so she already had that going for her. But then once I found out she had 4 kids, it was like, I don't know if this is going to be right for me to do. Truth be told, is when I met my wife, I was already dating and a serious, relationship with a girl, but God got a funny way of working things out, and it just worked out that we ended up together. Broke up with the one girl, ended up with her. I love the kids, I love the kids at first sight. Four kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, different ages, and they're all close in age range, but they were all, about 2 to 3 years apart. And, just getting with her and, making that commitment, because, me, myself, I didn't have that father figure. So I already knew how important it was to be a father, even though I had no clue, because I really didn't have good role models growing up to show me how to be a father, to show me how to be a man, to be responsible, how to be accountable. Like, I didn't have those things. So I had to learn everything through this relationship with my now wife of 19 years. I had to learn everything. I had to learn how to be accountable. I had to learn how to be responsible. I had to learn how to be loving, even though you have a general love, but a parenting love is different, because a parent's love is just a different kind of love anyway. Sort of like how God is with us. It's a love for God, but then once you kind of know Him as Father, is really a different kind of love. It impacts you in a different way. So that's the kind of love that I had to grow into, that more impactful love, that deep agape kind of love. I had to learn that, as I was, dealing with her and dealing with these kids, and starting to understand their personalities each, because you got to learn 4 different personalities here. You're dealing with 2 dudes, and then you're dealing with 2 girls. And the girls already had the key to my heart. You know what I mean? Because that's just girls. Daddy's girls. They already got the key to your heart. The boys are a little bit different, because the boys were a little bit older. It was 8. They were, when I met them, they were 10 and 8, I believe. 10 and 8, like 10-7 or 10-8, something like that. So they were kind of already older, and they were kind of like their mother's protectors already, because they already seen what mom had been through. So they were cool with me, but they was doing stuff behind my back, like like the stuff mischievous boys do. Doing little things and stuff like that, that they think I wouldn't pick up on. And some of it I didn't pick up on until later on in life, when they told me they were doing this stuff when they were little kids. But, so I had to grow into all of that. And it's been quite a journey. It's been a journey, man, through ups and downs, ins and outs, man. Me and my wife been 19 years strong. So I've actively been in their lives for 19 whole years. So, imagine 10-8, I think 10-8, what was it? 10-8, 5 and 2, I believe. Yeah, 10-8, 5 and 2. So I've actively, watched all of them grow up. All of them been through too, because all of them are grown now. The 4 are grown. I know I have 6, but the 4 are grown. But the 2 come in a little bit. The last 2 come in a little bit later on down the line. So I've 4 proms, 4 dating lives, 4 different sets of issues, 4 trials and tribulations, ins and outs, family fights, sibling fights. I've been through all of that. I've been through the ringer, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else, man, because like I said, it taught me so much, man. It taught me how to handle different things. It taught me how to be accountable in different ways. It taught me how to be responsible in different ways. It taught me how to be there for them in different capacities of their life. And, watching them grow, you got to change the way you parent, because you're literally raising little kids. You're raising toddlers all the way up until, juvenile. And then as they grow up, they get older. So now you're raising teenagers, And it's like it kind of goes down, like from the top down, because as the olders get older, now you got to change the relationship because now they're becoming young men, and these girls are becoming teenagers, and then the men, they go from young men to adult men, and then the girls from teenagers to young women, and such forth. And it's been challenging, but I wouldn't change anything for the world. Even the mistakes that I've made with them, and I made plenty of mistakes. They could tell you, my wife can tell you, I've made a lot of mistakes with them. I've done things that I should not have done. I've said things that I should not have said out of frustration, out of anger, and all sorts of things. But man, it all works out. The Bible says in Romans 8:28 that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. So, it all works out. It all works out because the Lord used, my inexperience to grow me up. And I had to learn quick. So because my wife, we met in May, and I think we were married by November. So we only dated 6 months, and from 6 months to 20 years later, it's just been a lot that filled that space. So it's been a lot of growing, a lot of love, a lot of patience, a lot of hurt, a lot of trauma. It's just been a lot, man. And but the story of our love, man, it consists with our 4 kids, and we have great relationships today. They're grown. They're doing their own thing. They still come and see me for advice, or just to kick it with me, or their mother. The kids love their mother. Dad, it's like, yeah, we know dad there, but we want to talk to mom. So yeah, I know how that go. Madam, you know how that go. So it is. It's been a great, great journey, man. Full of lots of laughter, lots of tears, man. But it's been really, really great. The journey has been fulfilling, very fulfilling. I mean, it's not over yet because you never stop parenting. You never stop parenting. You parent all the way up to the day you transition. So even if I'm 70 and they 50, they still gonna be coming to me for advice and all of that stuff. So you don't stop parenting ever. Like, a parent's job is never done, and it'll never be over until you leave to go home. And I really, it's a lot more that I can say, and I don't want to take up a ton of time, but it's been a lot. it's been a lot, man. And especially coming from a broken home, and then because like the truth of the matter is, with these 4 kids, they're all coming from broken homes. You know what I mean? Because their fathers just decided that they was going to do their own thing. And yes, there are multiple fathers. So let's just answer that question now. There are multiple fathers. But they all, at some point, the relationships didn't work out, and they all left. So now you have 4 different personalities, but 4 broken homes. 4 different broken homes. So now you got to take those 4 broken children and make them whole. You know what I mean? Make them feel loved. Make them feel like they weren't rejected, that they weren't abandoned. You have to step up and try to fulfill all of those voids. There were periods and time where the rejection from their natural fathers was heavy, and I had to deal with that. You know what I mean? I had to deal with that while still dealing with my own rejection, because remember, I come from a broken home. So come on. So this was just a whole melting pot of healing that needed to take place. And so as I sought God for my own healing, as I'm getting healed, I got to make sure that I'm giving healing words to them and helping them understand, because one of the biggest things that came up was, are you going to leave? That was one of the biggest questions I had to face, and I've heard it in conversation. And you can kind of tell, like, when things went down, like, say if me and mom was arguing, the first thing was they was looking like, well, I wonder if you're going to leave. You know what I mean? They're looking at they watching the front door to see if I'm going to walk out the front door. They're opening their bed doors to see if I'm going to storm out the house, and just stuff like that. So the best thing, I showed them that I wasn't going nowhere. And I told them I wasn't going nowhere, but I had to show them, because kids watch what you do more than they hear what you say. So, I had to just stay there and show them a model of consistency. And, I hear it today from my boys, especially. Both of my boys tell me, I wouldn't know what love is, until I saw you and mom, and I saw how long you stayed here, because we did some stuff and you still here, like you didn't go nowhere. So now I know that love is possible. I know that, I may not be able to measure up like to what you have done. But at least I know I can do it because I watch you, and I watch how you treat my mother. I watch how you treat my sisters. I watch how you treat my, my people, and you still here. So it's the best thing. If I can offer anything, the best thing is to show up and then stay, be consistent, and stay there. You know what I mean? Don't run out on them because they're already used to that. So that's about it, man. Because I it's a lot, man. Being a father is not something that we can take lightly, especially with the culture that we come from. There's not a strong history of strong male leadership in our culture. And it stems from our forefathers. They do their thing, they walk out. I mean, you got some. Not every dad is a bad dad. There's different situations for each. You know what I'm saying? For each situation, there's something different. Just try to make sure that the situation that you're in, if you have a woman with kids already, just make sure that you stay. Make sure that she's the one for you. And if she is, put a ring on it and lock in and stay there.
Lock it in. Thank you for sharing that. You said a lot in that little bit of time. And I mean, I would have said keep going. But I do have a couple questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And they might be kind of heavy, but first, before I ask the questions, I can relate with, being from a broken home. And I don't often talk about that a lot, actually. But what I've learned and what I know from how other people grow up in a broken home is there are really two options when you're coming from a broken home. It's you either don't want to be anything like the person who abandoned you,
Right.
or you end up being just like the person that abandoned you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could be no matter how you try, you either learn from it or you are traumatized by it and you refuse to grow from it.
Yes.
So since you did come from a broken home, how did that shape where you were when you met Lardina into becoming a consistent, accountable man and father to the 4 children?
Well, coming from a broken home, you're already fragmented. You're a fragmented man. You're a fragmented child, period. My mom and dad didn't work out. And my dad, okay. So the story with my father is he was there early in my life as a little child. He would take me to the arcades and stuff after church and, do the things with me. And then during those crucial years of my life, when I was becoming a teenager, going through the puberty stages, that's when he was gone. He was doing whatever he was doing, I mean, I knew, my father's no longer here, but I knew that he struggled with drugs very heavy. He was already a weed smoker. I was trying to be proper, but I'm with my sister, man. I'm gonna just keep it 100. He dealt with weed a lot, and but weed, and as much as they say weed ain't a gateway drug, it is a gateway drug. It leads to other things. So I believe that my father, he struggled with crack cocaine for a while, so he was hooked. So that took him away from me, and the decisions that he was making. The one thing that I want to encourage, those that may be coming from broken homes is, if you do allow some kind of healing to take place within you, and you can go back to that parent that you may be estranged from, go back and have a conversation and ask what happened. What happened? Why did you? What was going on in your life? At this point, that you had to take a step back from me, that you had to abandon your responsibility, and listen to their story, because you don't know what was going on. You don't know what was going on in their life. You don't know what choices that they made, or, you don't know what they was trying to keep you from, or because they were so spaced out, they just wasn't even in the right space to be a good parent. There's a bevy of different reasons why that parent stepped away, but healing is your responsibility as a person to get healed. And then be responsible and gracious enough to go back to that parent, forgive them, because you don't know what fully happened, and then go talk to them. You know what I mean? Go find out what happened. Do yourself a favor. Get some closure in that area. Find out. And I guarantee you, you'll find out some things about your parent that you never knew existed. You never knew that was there because they were just in their own world. And I had to do that. The thing about me was, not only did I not have a father, but my mother made sure the bills was paid, but she wasn't present either. So I was really on my own for real for a long time. I was on my own. I had to learn how to wash my own clothes. So you know what I mean? I tore some clothes up before I got it right. You know what I'm saying? I really had to do a lot of stuff. So I had to let my father, before I wasn't mature enough to handle the conversation because my father got murdered when I was in high school. So I wasn't mature enough to handle that conversation yet. But my mother, before I got married, I had to have that conversation because I knew I didn't want to take that into my marriage because I was already dealing with the dad piece of it. But I had to have a very hard conversation with my mother, ask her what was going on. And she told me. She told me what was going on. She had a bout with drugs and, she wasn't thinking, she was just worried about doing her. And it was a hard pill to swallow, but I was glad I got closure in that area. And, me and my mom are in a much better place today. But do yourself a favor, have that conversation. So anyway, so I was already a fragmented soul going into this marriage. So it messed me up, but I knew that I wasn't going, just like what you said, Tam, I knew I wasn't going to be like him in that area. Whereas though I'm just not going to abandon these kids. And plus I already knew that these kids, fathers already abandoned them. So it was like, I can't abandon them either because that's what they're used to. That's what they're looking for. And I didn't want to compile everything that they were already dealing with, even them being so young. Like, that's another thing, man. And I could go on and on. But that's another thing because, these kids were already young, but they already were broken inside. You know what I mean? They were already broken inside because a piece of their family is missing. They got mom, but they don't have dad. They don't have dad to affirm them. They don't have dad to discipline them. They don't have dad to speak into their lives. They don't have dads for guidance. So it's a lot. So, I was just trying to be something for them that I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that was. So that I had to make the conscious effort that I'm not going to be like my dad, and I can't be like their dads either. You know what I mean? So we just gonna learn this thing together. I'm gonna make all my mistakes with y'all. So, but I'm just not going to be there. So, hopefully, I answered your question because I know I kind of went in different segues.
No, you answered the question. A couple more questions came up, but I do want to say I loved what you said about like the order of taking care of business. You forgive them before you have the conversation, and you then later showed why it was important for you to forgive them before getting all the details because when you did talk to your dad, you weren't ready for that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But you learned that no matter what it was, you needed to forgive your mom before you went into this marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, that forgiveness opened a door for you to actually hear what she had to say.
Right.
And I thought that was a pretty profound order of business because truly anything could happen if you are not really prepared or in the mindset to hear them out. If you haven't forgiven them, you're probably going into that conversation ready to fight.
Yes.
Ready to combat everything that they have to say.
Right.
So I thought that was really crucial that you said that. When you first started talking, you talked about it being pretty much a detractor when you first met Lardina, but she was fine and she was interesting, so that saved the day. But were there voices in your head, or not like voices in your head, like, oh my God, who are you talking about? Or like friends in your head telling you, nah, you don't want to be with her. Like, she got 4 kids, man. Nah. And if there were voices in your head, what was it that made you open that doorway to say, I'm really, truly going to give this woman who I think is my wife, which you knew very quickly because you said May to August? Is that what the time frame was?
No, from like May to November. Like, we met in May, started dating, and then married in November.
Yep. That's 6 months. So you knew early on, like it didn't take you 8 years to figure out, oh, I think I'm gonna marry this woman.
Right.
So How did you handle that? How did you handle the naysayers, we'll say?
I think it happened too fast for them. It happened way too fast. But I did have the detractors. I did have a couple of friends that was like, no, my parents and grandparents, no, don't do that. She got 4 kids. So that was the only argument they had was the kids. They didn't have another argument, because they didn't even know her. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like, that's more cultural than anything. But I mean, I understand it because it's like, bro, you just walking into a full family. And it was like, I don't care. I love her. Like, it's cool. Like, I don't care. And then more importantly, it was really the Lord. It was really the Lord. It was like, yeah, that's the one. Go ahead and marry her. Like, so I had a few detractors, but everything happened so fast. Like I met her. Nobody really knew about her until I was about to get married. Nobody knew about her until I was about to get married. And then everybody was like, well, who is this?
The epitome of your relationship.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. So
that's what's up. Do what you have to do for you and don't let everybody deter you.
It just happened. So that's how it just like happened. It
that's
happened.
What's up.
So
how long were you saved before you met her? Because I feel like that had something to do with it too, for you to really hear the Lord in that.
I was young, and all right. So I was born and raised in church. So I've been saved all my life. No, that's a lie. Before, but there's being saved, and then there's relationship. You know what I'm saying? Is because a lot of people use the moniker of, yes, I'm a Christian, I'm saved, I love Jesus. Do you really? Are you really walking with him? Like, are you really, living this thing? So right. I was saved, and my relationship was based off of religion. I'll say that, religion and legalism. That's how my relationship was based back then. I was a young minister then. I was very young. I was in my early 20s. So a lot of it was legalism based and lust based. I ain't gonna hold you. You know what I mean? Because most of us young ministers, if we not really locked in with the Lord, we struggle with lust and we struggle with fornication and all of that good stuff. So that played a part in it too. I'm not gonna hold no bars, hold no punches. So a lot of that played into it too. But I knew though, but like within myself, I knew like, all right, this is the one. Like, so outside of the lust and the looks and all that, it was like I knew. So it was like, let me just go ahead and put a ring on it, and then we just gonna make it do what it do. Oh, she writing down another question for you, y'all.
No, I'm trying to decide which way I want to go with my notes.
Uh-oh. Oh, Lord.
So there was a phrase that you used, and honestly, it might be your title. There was a phrase that you used. It was called the melting pot of healing.
Ooh, that's good.
I don't even know if you knew you said it.
I didn't.
But you did. And I was like, ooh, title. Because everybody was healing at the same time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell me what that looked like.
It looked like a lot of disagreements. It looked like a lot of, arguments. It looked like a lot of confusion. It looked all sorts of crazy. It did, because everybody is filtering all of their feelings. You're dealing with little kids, and little kids, they just say whatever's on their mind. They don't have a filter, so they say any and everything. So it's me taking what they're saying, and then me taking what my wife is saying, me trying to hear her. Because mind you, we're not even talking about my wife coming from a broken home, a broken and abusive home, on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So
check out her episode.
and you guys already heard from my wife, so I'm quite sure she's delved into her story. But so it's all of us having issues at the same time, but still deciding to love each other through it and fight for what we believe is our family. Fighting through baby daddy drama, fighting through thoughts and feelings from the boys because they're older than the girls. The little girls we love daddy, yay. Like, but the boys, 10 and 8-year-olds, they have some thoughts and feelings about things because they're a little bit older and they've seen their mom go through some things. So it's about me getting with them and listening to them and listening to my wife and, loving on the girls and, me filtering and processing my own thoughts and feelings, not really talking. Like I hadn't learned how to express my feelings so much. So I was more of the guy that was internalizing everything until boom, you know what I'm saying? So it looked a little crazy, but the main thing was to make sure that I didn't leave. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure I didn't leave and make sure I didn't throw out the D word, you know what I mean? The divorce word. So it was, yeah. So that's what it looked like. It looked crazy. It looked really crazy, but we're still standing today.
Who was your source to go to?
Honestly, I didn't.
Did you have an outlet?
I didn't. Let me think, man, because me being who I was, then I really didn't have anybody, or at least I didn't. I don't. Or I'll say it like this: I wasn't confident enough to go talk to somebody because I wasn't confident that I was going to be heard. Because for all of my life, I hadn't been heard.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't have the confidence to go talk to somebody because I didn't feel like I was smart enough, or the stigma is men don't express their feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Men don't talk. Men don't express their feelings. You know what I mean? If we talk, we punks. You know what I mean? And especially in therapy wasn't the thing that was talked about from where I came from. You know what I mean? I was born and raised in the streets of North Philly. So therapy, what? No.
Yeah.
You go have sex or you go drink, you go smoke, you go do some other stuff. That's your therapy. You need to go sow your royal oats. You know what I mean? Just go release yourself all over the place. And yes, I'm being frank on that. I'm sorry. If you need to edit this out, edit it out. But
no holds bars over here. That's when you learn. Like that's what you knew.
Yeah, that's so you do what you know. So it wasn't talking. Talk to who? Like I don't know. Like no, I ain't talking to nobody. I'm gonna just internalize it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna internalize it and deal with the enemy in my ear saying that you ain't this, you ain't that, you ain't no good dad, you ain't. Man, trust me. Listen. I ain't gonna make this a whole ministry thing, but listen, it's real. It's real. It's real.
Yeah. And I still see it in a lot of Black men today. But would you say things have changed as far as you now having an outlet after you've gone through and transitioned through different stages, different ages, different parts of life with both your wife, your kids, and just growing into your own? Would you say that you have an outlet now? And who are your supporters now whenever you have questions about, man, this is hard. And you have a granddaughter now and you have 2 other kids now. So do you have an outlet today?
Oh yes, definitely. I have a group of guys, a group of men that I can turn to talk about it. Group people that are directly where I am, and then some that are older. Because you definitely need some OGs in your life. You always need the OGs. Always make room for the OGs. Whether it's a man or a woman. The OG, you need the OGs in your life. Men that have experience, women that have experienced life, men that are in the same position of taking care of other people's kids. I mean, ain't my kids, but so yeah, I definitely have those outlets. I definitely have a stronger walk with the Lord. Yeah, so I can definitely talk to Him. If I can't get nobody else, Nemel always gets to heaven. The Nemel always gets to heaven. And I did do some counseling as well. Like, you know what I mean? I defeated that stigma and I had to be like, what, I need to talk to somebody. So professional counseling is not a bad thing. It really is not, you know what I mean? And I know, I mean, it's a lot better. Thank God. You know what? Thank God for the pandemic. I'll say that, that's one of the things that really help come bring the aspect of, therapy and counseling out into our community, man, because the pandemic was one thing, and then all of the things that happened to the young Black men that were getting killed by cops, like it really brought about that sense of, I need to go talk to somebody. So I thank God that whole. I don't thank God for the things that happened, but I thank God for those situations because now a lot of us are turning to counselors. Now a lot of people are saying, you know what, let me go talk to a professional because I got some issues and I need to go talk. And I don't feel safe talking to family members or homies because most of the time family members are judgmental. Most of the homies, if you don't have like somebody with the correct head on their shoulders, they're gonna tell you to go do something stupid. So like, so now, the focus has been on therapy, and that's good. So I have done therapy, and it helped me a great deal.
That's what's up. I support it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get off my notebook. I still have questions, but that's fine.
Part two coming.
Part two. You said, you truly did say a lot. Like you spoke quickly because you wanted to get your story out in a certain amount of time, but you had a lot of really, really key points that pulled out a lot of questions for me. So yes, we probably do need a part two, and maybe this is where we bring both of you together and you guys bounce off each other. Who knows? I'm brainstorming on the podcast.
Okay.
But one of the things that Dina did tell me about was basically how you all brought in your nieces whenever she lost her sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so, your personal parenting journey started with you met your wife. You met this woman who you thought was going to be your wife, and then you found out she had 4 kids. So you automatically became, I will call you Step Up. I don't know what I want to call you, because if I call you Step Up Steph, then the acronym for that is sus, and I don't want to call you sus.
That's good.
So we have
I love it.
That one out. But you stepped up and you became their father, their dad, to the point where, like, I didn't know when I met you that you were not their biological father. I knew that those kids, that was their dad. Steph is their dad. So when Dina told me about how she went through the process of knowing that I'm taking these girls, what did that look like for you? Like, how did you have to stop and question her, or did you just trust God and trust your wife to know that she was truly hearing from God and this is what we're doing? What kind of dynamic was it now that you were bringing in? Because I know your youngest was almost a teenager working into 10th, 11th grade at that time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even. Yeah. So how did that look for you? Bringing in your 2 nieces and now making your family of 6 become a family of 8?
It was more like, are you sure? I had the question, like, are you sure about this? Like, we're almost at the finish line. Like, we can almost take those vacations we've been talking about. So, but, once, because I understood the situation and I knew those girls needed some consistency because I knew their story. They needed more broken home. So, another broken home. So I knew their story. I love my nieces, who I count as my daughters now. I love my nieces. So, I asked the questions, because we were already going through the grief attached to my mother-in-law, my wife's mother who had passed, and then, my sister, my sister-in-law, my sister, 3 months later, she passed. So, we already knew that we were already dealing with a grief-stricken period where everybody's just grieving, and, it's grief on top of grief. You finally kind of accepting, mom passing on now, the baby sister's passing on. So now it's like, oh man, this is a lot. And it was a few times I was like, Lord, what are you doing? What are you doing? So yes, I did ask the necessary questions, and we talked about it, and she was like, Steph, I got to get these girls. These girls need a chance, because like if they go with, these other people, they're not going to have a chance. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I think we have the best situation set. We have the best setup for them right now, and we have the room here at our home for them. So yeah, let's just do it. So it was a general conversation. It was prayed about, it was thought about, and then it was like, okay, let's do it, because those girls deserve a chance to live, and that's pretty much the process of how they got to come with us, and then taking them in. Now we kind of had to learn them all over again, because we've always known them, but this is going to be the first time that they're under our roof. So now they have to learn our way of living. They got to learn our rules and regulations, and how we deal with things. So it was a process with them. Learning two more kids all over again, learning their ticks, their quirks, learning what makes them go, what doesn't. More healing because now they're dealing with the loss of their mother. So now it's more healing, more counseling, more trying different things, trying to get them to open up. So it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a long process, but glory to God that they're in a much better place now, doing very, very well. But it was it's been 6, 7 years now, almost 8 now since they've been with us. Man, it's a long time. But yeah, so it took some time. It took some time. They had to make adjustments. We had to make adjustments. The Bible always tells us, to count the costs, which we fully didn't at first, but after just being with them and then learning how we had to make financial adjustments, the whole thing. So it's not just about taking people in. It's about you got to really make a lot of adjustments, especially to a structure that you already had in place with the 4. So now that you're bringing 2 more in, now that structure has to expand a little bit more because you got more people to feed. I mean, you got to stretch your financial budget. It's a lot of stuff that goes on with that. But it was a journey, but it was well worth it.
That's awesome. I gave Dina the props, but I have to also share because it wasn't like Dina just went behind your back and made this decision. You guys worked together to open your home, and shoot, it sounds like this is the house of healing. Just from the inception of your family unit, it just sounds like you said, the melting pot of healing, and God is definitely going to show up if he hasn't already shown favor for you guys for just opening up your hearts. That's beautiful, and I'm excited for you. I mean, it's deserving. It is absolutely deserving. I've seen a lot of tears. I've seen a lot of praying. I've seen consistency. I've seen a lot from your family, and I mean, not just the parents. Like, your girls are bomb too. Your girls are consistent. They're talented. There's some forces to be reckoned with, and that itself is favor all over your family. So I'm happy for you guys. Thank you for sharing your story and pouring out your heart for us. I do hope the listeners really heard a lot of the things that you said, and whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, I'm hoping that you really just truly understand what it takes to be someone who comes into the fold that that is already existing. Mm-hmm. And you need consistency, you need accountability, you need to be open and available, and really just be ready to work and fight together as a unit. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We are going to move on. Go ahead. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Awesome. Okay. So sorry. We are going to move on to a fun part of the episode, which is the tea time game. So we say tea time, tea time, tea time. Listeners, tea time is a game of rapid fire. I have come up with a bunch of questions. Some of them are deep. Some of them are just for fun. In this game, Steffon will have 3 minutes to answer as many questions as he can. First response, and give us just a little bit more insight into who he is. We heard about his family. Now we get to hear a little bit more about him. So, Steph, the step up, Steph.
Sus.
We're not going to use that. Sus. You ready?
I'm ready. Sus is ready.
Awesome. Listeners, Sus, are you ready? Listeners, are you ready? All right, let's get started. First question. What's your comfort go-to food?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti, that was fast. What's your guilty pleasure?
Coffee ice cream.
Name one book, podcast, or resource that's changed your perspective.
Ooh. Book would be Secrets to Deliverance by Apostle Alex Pagani.
Nice. If you could give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Talk more.
Oh, that's good. Morning person or night owl?
Morning person, definitely.
Name the most spontaneous thing you've ever done.
Ooh, jump out of a roof onto a bed spring, a mattress in the hood.
Oh Lord, I was gonna say get married, but
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. And there's that. Like,
what's the worst piece of advice you ever received? received.
men don't cry.
Mm, that's good. Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh, oh man, I've had so many of them. Oof, Jesus. Mm. Go back. Go next
First,
question. Next question. I can't think. It's too. I
because
don't know. I don't know because I don't
what's
look.
what's
I
the first
don't
one? Okay. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
know. Probably stocks.
Okay, that's fair. What's the best gift you've ever received?
Oh man. Mm. Oh man. I, it had to be something from my wife, but she's bought me so many good. I'll just say anything Eagles. I'll say that anything Eagles. I know. I'm sorry. Because this is rapid fire, so that takes me time to think. So
Okay. What's your dream vacation spot?
you know what? My dream vacation spot, and this may sound corny, but it probably is Vegas because I've never been there.
Where is it?
Vegas.
Okay. What pet peeve will you never get over?
Uh pet peeve. Oof. Probably people that don't allow you to talk or to express your point. Like people that cut you off.
That's a good pet peeve. All right. So we're going to go back to your celebrity crush.
Okay. All right. Jeez. Oh man.
It's all good. Your time was up 20 seconds ago.
Oh man. Like I don't like. It's not like Holly Berry or any of those people. I'll say Fantasia. I'll say Fantasia.
Fantasia.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I was not ready for that one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for playing Tea Time. I hope you had a little bit of fun. I got to learn a little more about you. And I also want to thank you again for coming to Nailed It Motherhood podcast.
Yes.
Pouring out your heart as a man. You know, you talked about growing up and not being able to talk and not feeling like you were allowed to use your voice. And I mean, I guess the irony and the purpose of all of that was because you now have a very, very powerful platform to use your voice as a pastor,
Yeah.
as even as a DJ, where you can express yourself in your music, and as a podcast co-host. Like, you have several platforms now where you are allowed to show up and shine and really tell us what's on your mind.
Right.
And you know, you got a good, strong, solid mind on your head. And I appreciate the things that you've shared. I appreciate you being a source and a resource for people to come to and listen whenever they need help in this area that you've already gone through and are still going through. So
Yes.
at this time, I want to open the floor up again for you. If you would like to share any encouraging words or inspiration for our listeners, whether they be mom, whether they be pop, whether they be step pop, whether they be grandmother, anybody in the village. So back to you.
I think one of the things that I would say is I've said it throughout this whole podcast is if you're going to be there, be there, be fully present. You know what I mean? Be there because, you know, a lot of children are used to people not being there. And not only should you be there, but be open to listen to them. You know, don't just cast them off and flee them away, or make them feel like that their opinions or their thoughts don't matter. Because that's a lot of the issue. That's a lot of the issue with our generation today. Like nobody ever gave them the lane to express themselves. Now, with that, there should always be a boundary of respect there. You know what I mean? Don't allow your children just to say any and everything out their mouth, especially if you're the parent. You don't want to be a friend. Never be a child's friend. You be somebody that you can be a sounding board for them, but don't give them that friendship lane, because the respect line it gets blurry right there, because now they don't know if they can, if they talk to you like you're a friend, that means they feel like they can just say any and everything to you. And some things you just don't want to know as a parent. So, but be there for them. Always give them your ear. Be there for them. And if you're coming into an already made family, lock in, stay there, and show them what consistency looks like. Show them what reliability and relatability looks like. And that's probably the best pieces of advice, besides, praying. If you're a believer and you're hearing this, the Lord is always going to tell you what to do. You know what I mean? So make sure that you're locked in with him first and foremost. Be locked in with him. And if you're not a believer that's listening to this podcast, you need to get to know the Lord as your personal savior. But then other than that, just be there, be present. That's the best thing I can tell any parent. Always be present. Don't be afraid to make mistakes with them. Apologize to Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Apologize to your kids. Never allow pride to hinder your relationship with your kids. If you did wrong by that kid, go back to that kid and say, I messed up. My bad. I'm sorry. You never know what that's going to do for your kid. You never know what it's going to do for them. And I think that's it, because I don't want to over talk. So I'm gonna leave it right there.
That was awesome advice. I appreciate it. And a lot of that hit home for me. So I'm like, I've tried all of it. Some of it doesn't stick.
She's still young, but trust me, when she get older, don't even.
I'll remember what Steph said on a womp 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 date. I'm not going to put the date out there, but so thank you for sharing that. Listeners, I hope you take heed. Can you tell us what's next for you and how our listeners can connect to you?
You can find me on the Culture Gang podcast every other Monday. I'm DJ ColesPlay. We are on every other Monday on all the video platforms of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Audio platforms are Spotify, YouTube Music, and I'm missing one, Apple Podcasts. We're every other Monday, 7 p.m. We're bridging the gap via Kingdom Edutainment. In a pastoral sense, Relationship Matters Ministries. We are on all social platforms. We have a new building that we're moving into as of February the 2nd. We will be at 310 Depot Street in Bridgeport, Pennsylvania, 19405. Our services start at 10:45 a.m. So if you want to check us out, you can check us out there. If you want some faith wear, you can go to bonfire.com/the eternal drip conglomerate. That's where you can find my clothing line, faith wear. We are hashtag fashionably intelligent and scripturally sound. So that's where you can find me at. And that's it. That's it. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. If you want to connect with me personally, Facebook is my name, Steffon Evil Green Coles. Instagram, it is Pastor_SMC. TikTok, while it's still around, is Pastor ColesPlay, because we know about the whole TikTok thing. And that's about it, man. And you can connect me there. You can always find me. You can find me everywhere, man. I'm a big Eagles fan, so Anyway, that's it, man. I ain't gonna keep going, but I love it. I love it here. I love it here. Shout out to my girl T. Wait. Shout out to my girl T, man. It's a bad chick right here. Y'all understand me? It's a bad chick right here, man. Like, I don't call her Madam Pop for nothing, man. I'm telling you. the days that we had and at the church we used to fellowship in a few years back, man, we had a lot of fun. Youth lock-ins was always lit. I'm telling you. And she was leading the charge. She was leading the charge. I thank you for even allowing me to, get some acting chops in with the plays and things like that. I ain't forget. I did not forget.
I did forget. That's what's up.
Yeah, acting chops, So this woman here, man, I'm telling you, she's a love bug. She's full of personality, and I love her for who she is, man. That's my girl. And shout to Mr. D. You better treat my girl right. You don't want no problems. You don't want these problems, brother. I'm kidding, man. But you got a diamond on your hand. Stop playing. Lock it up, man. Lock it up. For real. I know. I'm sorry. I know I probably overstepped my bounds. I probably overstepped my bounds. I know. But you my sister.
Now I'm in trouble, Steph. But you almost made me cry. Oh gosh. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey.
I appreciate that. That's what's up.
The Bible says give honor to whom honor is due. So we gotta give you your flowers, man. You deserve it, man.
Thank you. Man. I love you. I appreciate it. I love you too, Steph. My brother, my sus. But Steph, can you tell me, is parenting hard?
Yes, it is. It is. It requires a lot of sacrifice. It requires a lot of bending. It requires a lot of, the number one thing is sacrifice. Sacrifice. You will always be sacrificing for your kids, even when they get older. When you think they grown and should have it all together, there's another sacrifice you're going to have to make because you're going to have to bail them out or something. So, yes, it can be hard, but it is. I know the question is coming. It is worth it.
Boom. You already knew it. It is worth it. So, because you already know it's worth it, what do you proudly want to tell our guests today?
This dad is nailing it.
So, thank you. Steph Coles is nailing it.
Sus.
Yes, sus is nailing it.
You know what? That should have been in the little white box. Sus. That's what should have been in the box.
No,
sus. S-U-S.
I don't want anybody calling you sus thinking it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I know we about to end it, but Tam, like the language barrier, like we used to talk one way, but now the kids got like so many different language things, like things that meant one thing in our generation, it means something completely different. Like,
yep.
I mean, like, we can't even say stuff. It'd be like, no, Dad, you can't say that. Like, because Taya correct me quick. Dad, you can't say that. But I'm like, well, we used to say this back then. Well, it's different today, but all right, whatever.
So I can't say it to you, is what you just, okay.
Yeah.
I work at a school district, so yeah, I get it.
Oh.
I get it. And so I learn a lot of new words. And there's stuff that you just be like, but why? Why is that the word for that? I don't know. Right. Oh, okay. It's not, I'm not going to catch on to it. If you like this episode and you want to hear more personal parenting stories, subscribe to my social media, Nailed It Motherhood Podcast, on Instagram, Facebook, and the new YouTube page. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We also have a website, naileditmotherhood.com, for your one-stop shop about our podcast. And hopefully a Nailed It online store coming soon. Please keep checking back. I will let you know when we have some merch. Don't forget, you can be a guest on this podcast too by completing our guest application. The link is in the bio. We welcome all questions, all comments, and ideas, and we certainly hope to keep the conversation going. Until next time, hopefully we'll have Steph and his wife back for a part 2.B. Keep on doing what it is that you do. We'll talk to you later. Smooches.
You're listening to Nailed It Motherhood Podcast.